going on, Jerome's? So I love that starting to cool off because now we can get back to deep V season. Liverpool. That's right. I'm going to miss Jurgen Klopp, but the new guy should be all right. But speaking of should be all right, hopefully the Minnesota Vikings interior offensive line will be good to go. Hey, Garrett Bradbury added 10 pounds. Awesome. But the guard competition, well, we were sold at the beginning of training camp that there would be a legitimate competition at the guard spots between third-year guard Ed Ingram, free agent Dalton Risner, who was signed last year and was brought him back, as well as 2026 round offensive tackle out of Oregon State, Blake Brandel, who had risen on up and became a valuable backup last year and had impressed so much so that he signed a significant contract this offseason and is the presumptive starter at left guard. So we were told again that there would be a competition going on along the offensive line, but not really. Not really. Now, I fully understand that the offensive line, you want continuity up front, and that is important. But from everything I've seen through 9 practices of Vikings training camp, there hasn't been a single change among the first-team offensive line. Left to right, according to Hoyle, it's been Darrisaw, it's been Blake Brandel, left guard. Remember, that was Dalton Risner's spot last year. Garrett Bradbury at center, Ed Ingram at right guard, and Brian O'Neill at right tackle. Now, again, like I said, continuity is very important up front, but if you were going to have some semblance of a competition, you would think that there would be a little bit of rotation there with Dalton Risner. Hasn't really happened, and Risner has been backing up second-team left guard as well as some second-team right guard as they try to groom him so that he can be the backup swing guard in case one of these guys falters. Now, on one hand, I understand the logic. On the other hand, I was kind of really looking forward to this competition because there's really only two there's a couple competitions that we were looking forward to. The quarterback one, McCarthy's shown up and shown out, but it looks like it's going to be Darnold's gig, as well as wide receiver 3. Looks like a combination of Naylor and Brandon Powell. Cornerback, I don't know who we're going to sign this week. But also the guard one was frankly one I was looking forward to because it had been so long since the Vikings had legitimate guard competition where there was options. And for many years, it was just like Pat Elflein, you're starting. Dakota Dozier, you're starting. Drew Samia, you're starting. Oli Udoh, you're starting. And that is it. But again, I understand the Vikings' perspective on things. So Ed Ingram, second-round pick in 2022, just trying to salvage anything from that draft class. Jalen Naylor, Ty Chandler, please be strong. And Ed Ingram, he wasn't great as a rookie. He was much better last season, and hopefully he can grow in year 3 and become a competent starting caliber guard in this league. Obviously, the Vikings do have a vested interest since he was a high draft pick, but as we've seen with Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr., it doesn't really guarantee you things. Yeah, but respect to Ed Ingram, like we said, did improve markedly last year, although he had as many forced fumbles as Beasley last year. Funny, man. And then Blake Brandel, like we said, came in as a left tackle out of Oregon State in 2020 and worked his way in, became a valuable backup at multiple spots. And now there is confidence in him as a starter going forward. And again, we're not in those practices day in, day out. And if Chris Cooper says that he has confidence in Blake Brandel going forward. Same thing with Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi. Who are we to argue, right? And then you got Dalton Risner. So Risner was brought in after week 2 last season after Oli Udoh tore his quad, eventually worked his way into the starting lineup and was competent last year as a pass blocking guard. Run blocking, but also the entire damn production was very run blocking last year, except for Darrisaw. That's where we're at, man. But you just look at the contract. So obviously, draft position is going to give Ed Ingram an edge, but also looking at the contracts, Brandel 3 years, $9.5 million, half of it guaranteed. So that's a pretty significant investment in a guy who hasn't been a regular starter. Risner brought back on a very skint deal, very low base salary, very little guaranteed as well. So obviously, Brandel's going to have the edge up there because if Risner came in and beat out Brandel in a fair competition, it would look embarrassing that they gave Brandel the larger contract. So again, there's lots of other things behind the scenes going on there. But as of right now, this is where we're currently at. Darrisaw, Brandel, Bradbury, Ingram, and O'Neill. Dalton Risner backing up both guard spots. And I think that's probably where it's going to stay. Again, obviously, barring Brandel or Ed Ingram completely embarrassing themselves in the preseason and just turning into a turnstile, I think this is probably going to be your offensive line heading into week 1. Now, the main question is, Brandel, Brandel probably going to hang on to the job, Ed Ingram. But if one of them falters in the regular season, how short is that hook going to be? Because if obviously, like we said, continuity is important along the offensive line, but at a certain point, the weak link is the weak link. And do you replace them? And that's why we were so excited about this, because there is, for the first time in forever, actual legitimate competency that you can replace these guys with. Whereas, in previous years, whether it was Elflein or Samia or Dozier or Udo, it was just like, okay, they need to be benched, but who do you bring in? Should have been Brett Jones every single damn time, man. But with Risner, a guy who's been a 5-year starter in this league and does have that versatility, even though he's only played left guard in the NFL, played multiple spots at Kansas State. So then you can bring him in, right? But at a certain point, what point do you bring in Risner if the other guys falter? Or it could be a spot straight up where Brandel and Ed Ingram are bringing it in training camp and they've earned their spots. It certainly could be the case as well. But either way, obviously, this is a bit of a sham competition. Like otherwise, I mean, you would have seen some combination of Risner working in with the first team, or it could just be that they want to get Ingram and Brandel as many reps as possible because they know what Risner's capability is. But we'll see. Hopefully, the competition in name only have made these guys step up their games, and going into the regular season again, knowing that there's someone on the bench that could easily take their spot, no muss, no fuss, hopefully that will push Ed Ingram to make a huge leap in year 3. Hopefully that will push Blake Brandel to earn his contract and prove that he is a starting caliber offensive lineman in this league. But like I said, the competition, the true competition, turned out to be a bit of a dud, but sort of is what it is. Either way, if we get competent interior offensive line play to go with an elite pair of bookend tackles, we'll take that. We'll take it, man. And that's the importance of depth and, perceived competition as well. But your thoughts are thoughts. Is the Vikings guard competition over? Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.